Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to do a short presentation on the so-called lost tribes of Israel, and I know there's already a lot of stuff on this on the internet, but I just wanted to go over some of the evidence again, and also some of the evidence that you don't hear about as much. I also wanted to make some linguistic connections and break down some of the weaker arguments that I think take away from the better evidence. I also wanted to go over some of the history that is really silent in the mainstream, and I think this is for a reason, to try to keep us in the dark about the tribes of Israel. One important thing to remember is that it seems that many Israelites mixed with other people and became a part of other nations where Israelite names and customs appear throughout history. There are many that believe that some of the Israelites actually left Egypt before the Exodus with Moses. The names Garda and Calcol of the tribe of Zerah of the tribe of Judah appear in place names like the Dardanelles, Chalcedon, and Colchis near the Black Sea. It's believed that some of these tribes of Israel helped found Troy and other cities like Miletus in Asia Minor. Now it appears that after the Exodus and soon after the Israelites had taken over the Promised Land, that many of them were actually leaving Israel, especially by sea. And some of the best evidence for Israelite activity in history outside of the Bible is in a confederation known as the Sea People. I won't go too much into the Sea People. Scholars disagree as to exactly who they were and where they originated, whether it was one people or a confederation of people. I believe it was a confederation of different people along the Mediterranean coast. They were known for attacking the great empires like Egypt, the Hittite Empire, and great cities like Troy. And there are three names in the confederation that are striking evidence and bear the mark of the Israelites, and that is known as the Shekelesh, the Sheridan, and the Danans. These names are found in slightly different forms. They're known especially in Egyptian records. They're found in the great Karnak inscription of Egypt in the 1300s BC, and also in the Egyptian Wen-Amon story. Also, Ramses II, Pharaoh of Egypt, mentioned them, and they're also found in the Egyptian Merenptah stele. The Shekelesh were also known as the sickles by the Egyptians, and were also mentioned by the Greeks Thucydides, Homer, and Strabo. The Shekelesh, or sickles, are connected by most scholars to the island of Sicily. The Sheridan are connected by most to the island of Sardinia, and the Danans are considered to be the Danoi mentioned by Homer, and are also believed by many to be the tribe of Dan, or from that tribe. Another group mentioned as part of the Confederation of Sea People was the Peleset, and this is almost certainly the Philistines mentioned in the Bible. We know from the Bible that the tribe of Dan had relations with the Philistines. Their territory was right near the Philistine cities. We know that Samson married Philistine women, and it's quite probable that many from the tribe of Dan went into the confederation along with the Peleset and others. I think one of the most important keys to unlocking the mystery of the lost tribes of Israel is the city of Dor in northern Israel, mentioned in the Bible. It's a fact that the city was also known as Sickle by the Egyptians. It's mentioned in the Wen-Amon story as having a ruler known as Bader of the Chaker, who were also part of the Sea People. According to the Bible, the city of Dor was allotted to the tribe of Manasseh, but the city itself was on territory on the borders allotted to the tribes of Asher and Issachar. The tribe of Manasseh was not able to drive out the inhabitants of the city, so many of them were actually Canaanite and foreigners. That's why there was one ruler at one time known as Bader of the Chaker. The Chaker are associated with the Sea People and have been connected by many to the kingdom of Thrace in the Black Sea region, northern Greece, and what's now Bulgaria. It seems very likely then that many Israelites would have been recruited by the rulers of the port of Dor and joined the sea people in their ventures. These tribes in that area would have been Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Issachar. By the way, the Egyptian name for the city of Dor may have been a corruption of the name of Issachar. The Egyptians couldn't pronounce L, so sickle may have been Issachar, and so these people would have become known as either Dorians or Sickles. Mainstream scholars will claim that the Sickles that inhabited part of Sicily came from either Italy or Greece, and some will mention that they were Dorian Greeks, but it's a bit spooky how they will never connect them to the city of Dor in Israel. And also the name of the Sheridan that inhabited Sardinia may have been Hebrew for the princes of Dan, but this also will be mentioned by few, if any, mainstream scholars. The tribe of Ephraim was the ruling power in the northern kingdom of Israel. They were making alliances with Assyria and willingly going into Assyria and also Egypt. Many were conscripted into the Assyrian army. The Assyrians took over the city of Dor or Sickle, which is also known in Assyrian records as Duru. The Assyrians took over that city and other cities in the area. They deported the tribe of Naphtali and also the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh east of the Jordan. We know of the Assyrian invasions of Israel from Bible records and the Babylonian Chronicle, and also from Assyrian records and engraved reliefs found in the ruins of the Assyrian capital of Nineveh, and also Assyrian cities like Nimrud. The Assyrians were able to take over the capital city of Samaria of the northern kingdom of Israel. This was not long after they'd taken over the city of Dor. They were able to take 27,270 captives. It's not clear whether these were just from the city itself or from the surrounding area. And in 701 BC, the Assyrians invaded the lands of Judah, and from there they took 200,150 captives. So whole tribes of Israelites were taken captive by the Assyrians and transplanted to the east in the empire, and they would end up as far north and east as the Caucasus Mountains, even possibly beyond. In Israel, the remaining tribes would merge together, the smaller ones going into the larger ones like Simeon and what was left of the tribe of Dan into Judah. Asher would be absorbed into Zebulun, and these would eventually be absorbed into Judah also in Jerusalem. The tribe of Benjamin had been absorbed into Judah long before, but eventually Benjamin and Judah also would be deported by the Babylonians years later. So while the Israelites lost much of their identity dispersed among the nations, they no doubt still had an important part to play in history. They probably helped with the fall of the Assyrian Empire and also the Babylonian Empire. They probably helped with the rise of Persia, Greece, and Rome. And they would have a lot of influence at sea among the sea people. And also from the Caucasus region, they would surely go north, and they would enter a sort of superhighway following the great migrations into Western and Northern Europe. So there's good evidence that the Israelites were on Sicily, Sardinia, in Greece, and other parts of the Mediterranean. and they would have access to the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. They could also go north to northern Europe and Britain. And from the east, in the Caucasus region, they could follow the migration routes into Europe. They may have gone into other parts of the world as well, but that's beyond the scope of this presentation. They were most likely connected to a people known in history as the Scythians or Scythians. This is an enigmatic people shrouded in mystery, and that may be for a reason. The Scythians are believed by most scholars to be connected to Shkenaz, named in the Bible, and this is the people that had a part in the conquest of Babylon. There seem to be eastern and western forms of their name. The Assyrians knew them as Skuzai, and this name came to the Greeks, who knew them as Scythians or Scythians. But the Greeks also knew of a western people called the Sicanians or Scanians. They were known to go into Italy and Sicily and as far as Spain. And I believe that they were connected also to a person known as Scanius, the son of Aeneas, who came out of the Trojan War to Italy. But that's really beyond the scope of this presentation also. There is a widely held belief that the Scythians were the precursors of the Celts, Germans, and other Indo-Europeans, and if they were also known as the Scanians, then this would make them connected to all of Western Europe. So to finish, I'll just make some connections to some names of people found in history, and then I'll show some word connections which may shed some more light on a strong connection of the Hebrews and Israelites to the people of Europe, and that there is more of a connection than is commonly taught. So there are some very important questions that should be asked that might shed more light on this obscure history. Were some of the Trojans actually Israelites, and did they then become Romans, since it's believed that some of the Trojans fled the city of Troy when it was conquered and are believed to have gone to Italy where they helped found Rome? Did Sicily get its name from the Sicels, who were the Dorian Greeks, and were some of these Israelites from the city of Dor in Israel? Is Sardinia named for the tribe of Dan, and did they also help settle Greece as the Danoi? And as part of the Sea People, did they sail far to the north and give their name to the Danes? Did the Jutes, who helped settle England, get their name from the tribe of Judah? The name of their homeland, Jutland, has no known derivation. In my ignorance, I thought that the name for their peninsula just meant that it jutted into the sea, but actually there is no attested origin of the name. Did the Angles or English actually get their name from the tribe of Ephraim? The Bible likens the tribe to a young bull, and the name for that in Hebrew is Egel or Engel, and it's odd that one old nickname for England was John Bull. Did the Goths actually get their name from the tribe of God or Goth? There's a pretty widespread theory that the name of the Saxons comes from Sax's sons or sons of Isaac, but I think this is a weak argument, and it actually takes away from the better proof about the Israelite origins. I think the name Saxon actually comes from the Scanians or Sake, who were also the Scythians. Now I'll make just a few linguistic connections, and I know that the puffed-up professors at the puffed-up universities will twist the truth, and they'll claim that there's not enough proof. They'll never look at the semantic meanings, and this all seems to be part of the cover-up. So we have English evil and Hebrew avol for something bad, snake in English and nakash in Hebrew. Notice that it's the same consonants, just in different order. English year, Hebrew yera. Yera meant moon, but the year was measured by the seasons of the moon, so you can see the semantic change. We have English burrow or bore for a hole or to dig, and that's Hebrew bara or bear. English eye, Hebrew ayin, for an eye or a spring, which meant an eye of the earth. We have English call and Hebrew kol. The semantic meaning has also changed here. In English it's the sound, but in Hebrew it's the voice that makes the sound. And we have English horn and also Latin corny, and we have Hebrew karen for horn. And also notice that these are not just recent borrowings from languages. These are actually meanings from the most ancient times in those languages. Like the word hallelujah from Hebrew has been borrowed into English, and that's from recent times in Bible use. We have English similar and Hebrew simla or simul, and that meant to take the shape of something. We have English booth and Hebrew beth for house. We have turn and Hebrew door for to make a circumference or a turning around. We have English wine, Hebrew yayin, English oath, Hebrew uth, which also meant the mark that was made to signify a vow or oath. We have English or and Hebrew ur. In Hebrew it meant light, but that could have come to mean something shiny, like the metal or the rock that had the metal, so we have English ore for the rock, but that's also the word aurum or aura for gold or something shiny. We have Greek skein and Hebrew sakin, which meant a dwelling or a tent, a tabernacle, and it's possible that the English skin with the same consonants really has the same meaning, but the official derivation would not consider that. Then we have English is, the verb to be. The Hebrew word ish also means to be or exist, and this is applied to beings, even mankind is a being. Then there's English earth and Hebrew eretz, arith or ara, and these basically have the same meaning. English yell and Hebrew halal, and that means to be loud, to boast, to be clear, to make a call. Then there's English alpen or alban and Hebrew laban, and these all mean white, something white. Then there's English part and Hebrew peretz, and these mean basically the same thing. In Hebrew, peretz means to cut, to divide, a breach, to put into parts. Then there's English over and Hebrew aver, and Hebrew aver means to cross over or to quarter, and the meaning there is that when you cross something, cross a line, you're making four parts like a cross. So these are just a few word connections. I'm sure there are many more, but I'll leave it to you to do further research and to see if this is enough proof. I think it's undeniable. Thank you for listening.